So 5-1 is another pretty deadly level. Oh, hey Cherry, good to see you. But it's not too bad for the beginning. So the beginning, your goal is just to dodge these Koopas. I'm going to show this part one more time though. So this is something I don't usually get in runs, but you can go for it. It does save a tiny bit of time, and that's not slowing down on these Koopas. So if you notice, I just barely cut over the Koopas and I didn't have to slow down to get to this pipe at all. Most of the time you're going to bonk off of something, and so you're usually going to go a little bit slower in this section to even things out. I will demo that when we get there. But from here, it's pretty, that's the fast part. Here's where things just get fun. So let's take a look at this one. Just in slow-mo. This is the part that makes this level notorious when you're speedrunning it. So, and that's because they have sideways springs. So what the level wants you to do is to hit this block, and that will activate a vine, and then you can climb up the vine and use, time that to dodge these Koopas. You can sort of jump up the vine even. So if this strategy is at all intimidating, feel free to just use the vine. I will demonstrate that when we do demo time. But what we do instead to skip the vine is we jump around these blocks. So you'll notice I jump up and around in order to dodge the spring. Now the reason that this is so scary is because, one, you actually can't do this from a dead standstill. You need some momentum to make this height, so you actually have to run to the left a little bit in order to get enough speed to make it around this corner. The second reason is because if you fall short or you don't do this jump correctly, you will hit this spring and it will launch you full speed toward that Koopa. Like, there you go, right into death. I will likely demo that even accidentally a few times just because that's how this level works. What makes this level kind of tricky is that you actually have to do this twice. 3 times if. So like here's that same jump again, just barely missing that Koopa. This jump is so much nicer. It's the same type of jump, but because you're coming at it from the left side, you can just run into this block and you'll always make this jump work. So from there, if you were paying really, really close attention, you'll know I'm going straight up for a little bit. And that's because I actually run into this block, and that makes it so that I'm pretty consistent on that section. So we'll go into those on slow-mo. For this next section, oh, that's not what I wanted. Please leave full screen. Thank you. We're back? Okay, we're back. For this next section, or here it is full speed, just so you can see it in real time. Yay! For this section, what I actually do is I jump here, and I start holding A or like a jump button in midair. And I just hold on to it as I'm falling down these blocks so that when I hit this Goomba, or this Koopa, yeah, I keep mixing those up today. When I hit this Koopa at the end of that section, I always get a boosted height from holding the jump button. So just look here, I jump, I'm holding jump for this section so I get that extra height off the Koopa. And then from here, you want to hit that final Koopa. Let's run that back one more time. You want to hit that final Koopa so you can jump up into the goal tape. The goal tape is higher than Mario can reach without assistance, so you want to jump off of this Koopa at the end so that you hit it every single time. Awesome. So really most of the level is just running and jumping, pretty basic platforming. It's just that those few jumps around the springs that are murderous nightmares. So let's go take a look at those murderous nightmares in a little bit more detail. So just to show the beginning of this level more of the normal way, you do not have to do like the super fancy strat that I did. So I'm running through. Here you can just sort of turn back to dodge around those Koopas. You don't have to worry about them too much. Here is the fun part. I'm trying to do it like correctly one time, so at least have that demoed on screen. Cool. And then here you can see I'm holding the jump button, and that's how I get that extra height off of that Koopa, even though I didn't do anything obvious in the moment. So there we go. That's the level done correctly. Now let's look at all the dumb things that can go wrong. Whee! We'll start from here so I have my cycle set up. Cool. So the first thing that could go wrong is if you try to jump without getting all your full speed, you can just keep bonking your head. Or, let's see if I can do this wrong correctly. Oh, no, I'm doing it right. I'm trying to do it wrong this time, game. There we go. That's sort of what it looks like when you get it wrong. For me, that's kind of how I would do it incorrectly. Let's just get rid of this guy for half a second so I can have some peace. Dude, the poor Koopa. Okay, so what I try to do when I do it correctly is I'm actually trying to run into this right side platform, or this right side block. Or here. Let's just reset this. This is throwing me off really hard right now for some reason. Okay. Demo time. Here's how you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to hit this vine, and that gives you a lot more control over when you're doing these sections. So for both of these sections, there's a vine. 1, 2, 3. They jump in a group of 3, by the way, on that bottom section, and I'll show that one more time. So if you're learning this section, keep in mind that there's always a gap between these Koopas. So 1, 2, 3, gap. 1, 2, 3, gap. 1, 2, 3, gap. You're looking for that gap. And if you're going full speed on the speedrun, you'll always hit the gap. Oh, sorry. accidentally hit my setup. You'll always hit that gap, but if you do have to get the vine and wait, no, come on camera, I need you to cooperate with me. Sorry, I've got a pretty janky setup to show my gameplay right now. You'll always want to count to that 3 before you try to make this gap if you've had to slow down at all. Okay, but let's take a look at that one more time as a speed run. So there's a couple things that can go wrong here. The main thing that I try to do, it's a little bit different, is I'm trying to hit this block right here. Not from the bottom, but from the side. Because if I hit this block from the side, it'll line me up to make sure that I'm vertical for this section. So the worst thing that can really happen is you run and you hit this spring from the side, like this. That's what really ends up getting you killed. So in order to avoid running into this spring, what I do is I hit this block, because if I hit this block from the side, and I didn't do it there, that's what happens when you miss. It will always make sure that I have too little momentum to the right in order to hit this particular spring. So by lining up, let's see if I can do it correctly. By lining up with that block, I'll always make this work. If I go around the block too much, like you can go around the block and cut that corner. That's what that looks like, right? And I'll show the Marios on that one even. Marios. Oh, you can't see the Marios. That was too many Marios. Never mind. I will not show the Marios. You can go around. There we go. I can show the Marios on that one. Come on, Marios. Right, I just barely cut the corner there. Like, there's Mario's toe eclipsing... Seriously, game? Fair enough. Mario's toe eclipsing... Let's do it from here. Mario's toe eclipsing the spring. So you can make that jump without lining yourself up on the block first. But I find that one a lot riskier. But personal preference. You can do that sort of circle jump that I'm showing now and get all the way around the spring. Again, for me instead, I like to sort of... Well, I didn't time that one at all. I like to sort of hit the cinder blocks, because I feel like that better lines me up and I'm less likely to make that mistake. So when I do this, I won't do nearly as wide of a swoopy swoop, but I will hit the cinder blocks. I even got the little corner boost on that one so you can see what my strategy is there. The second set is the same, where I'm once again trying to hit the cinder block, and that's the example of when I miss it, is if you miss the cinder block and you're not going far enough around the spring, that's exactly what the death looks like, is you just run straight into those Koopas there, and it's very disappointing. But ideally, I'm trying to hit the side of the cinder block. And if you miss it, you do have to wait for that count of 3. But there, I made it. Or there I made it. So again, waiting for that count of 3 if you miss it once is always a good idea. Thankfully, the second set is so much better. And that's because you can just directly run into the cinder blocks. So for here, because it's really straightforward, I just run into the cinder blocks when I'm doing my jump, and I make it every time. So this third jump, even though it's the same type of spring setup, I find to be so much more consistent than the other two. From here again, I'm jumping, but I'm holding the jump button so that I get some extra height off that last Koopa. And then ta-da! Made it to the end. Cool, so that's one of those things that I would definitely recommend practicing if you're going to go for it. It's just those like corner spring cinder block jumps. But again, there is that vine. So if you feel nervous about that, or you're just doing runs and you don't have time to practice this, there's other things you want to practice. Just get the vines and then count to 3. 1, 2, 3, and you can make it past all of these sections with much less of a headache and much lower risk of dying. So if you're not good at the trick yet, I would recommend taking that route because it will save you time in terms of just not dying a whole bunch. And not dying is always a great way to save time in this game. Okay, that's going to be 5-1. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Where did the 3DS go? Okay, there we go. This is what I wanted. Let's go back into videos. So this is 5-2. 5-2, oh, yeah, we'll have to show this one separately. So the IL for this one uses a Kaizo trick, where essentially you bring this spring with you and then you do a spring jump off of these. Yeah, spring jump. There you go. Whereas we do not do the Kaizo trick in the actual run, but the ending of it's the same. So it's a very short level, so we'll walk through it in a little bit more detail, a little bit more slowly. So the first thing you want to do is on this first set of bouncing springs, you want to grab this spring. All you have to do there is run and jump off the spring while holding your run button, and you'll grab it in midair on the way up. So there we go. From here, you want to jump off of this right corner. That will land you on this pipe. From there, you do 2 jumps to get up to this platform here. Now, one thing that's going to happen is I'm going to bonk on this corner here, and that's very intentional. I have tried doing it without the bonk, and it messes up the next cycle. So you can make these jumps. You can jump off the left side of this pipe and make it up here without slowing down, but you do not want to do that. You actually really want that little bonk. So you'll see I hit that platform and slid up the side a little bit. You want that. And the reason is because of these springs. These springs are on a cycle, like a lot of springs in this level. And if you don't hit that side, you don't like set yourself up by bonking into that wall, these springs will be low. They'll be down here when you want to get to them, and you won't have enough height to make the jump up to this conveyor belt section. But if you do that bonk, you will always have this spring in the correct spot in order to make this jump happen. It just always lines up perfectly. So that's why you do want to hit off of this wall. I do that, you get up to this spring, and here's where for the IL, you build up a tiny bit of speed. This is really precise, which is why we don't do it for any percent, but you build up a tiny bit of speed to do a midair spring jump, and that will take you over the booze into the end of the level. Now, for the any percent route, I will show it in just a second. We do not do that. We actually set up the springs so we can jump off of these springs here instead, and that is much safer, although a little bit slower. But both times we end up finishing the level on this top section. You definitely want to get to this top section. The subsection is much slower. From here, you want to jump close to the edge, but you don't want to fall down. And the reason is if you jump too late or too soon, you will not make this platform. You do want to make this platform. And if you miss your jump at all, you jump too late and you just didn't hit it, you'll fall down and you'll miss the platform anyway. And the reason is, if you hit that platform, you just follow the coin trail, line up, hit the gold tape, you're done. If you don't, you have to stack all 6 of these springs on top of this specific spring in order to build an elevator to bring you up and over that edge, which is super slow. You do not want to do that. It's about as slow as a full death. I caught it in one of my PBs, I think, or close to. So yeah, can definitely recommend avoiding. But if you do fall down here, the intended strategy is to stack these one on top of the other. Cool, so let's go through and look at what we actually do for this level, given that we don't do the Kaizo trick. So I'm gonna jump back to core spot. We're gonna go on to 5-2. I'm gonna go into edit mode again for this one. Yep, don't worry about your editing. Cool. So again, beginning of this one, I'm just holding my run button, and then when I jump off of this spring, you do, by the way, have to hit jump off of these springs, in case you didn't know that. That's how you just grab the spring every time, like nothing too wild about that. So we're gonna reset just so that some of the cycles are okay. And then it's just sort of running through the beginning of the level. So jump on that corner, jump here, always bonk, and that signs this up. From here, there's a couple ways to do this. One is to throw the spring when you're in the middle section, and that works out pretty well. Wait, come on. So when I got to the middle coins, that's when I threw my spring, and that will line it up so it lands on top of this other one. Your goal is to land them on top of each other so that you can do this jump up. Now, it may take a few bounces for you to be high enough and to catch the spring cycle correctly to make it up here, but it's worth doing. So you definitely want to make that happen. Yeah, that's what you do instead of the Kaizo trick. Sometimes you'll miss the spring though, and like you don't have to do it this way. You can just sort of run to the side and then duck and put the spring down. The main thing to watch out for if you do that is take your thumb off the run button. You do not want to re-pick up the spring once you've placed it. It is so slow to do that. So yeah, that's a thing to do. So you got this, then you do your jump up to here. For some reason I feel like I'm blanking, and I'm trying to remember because Juice has a new strat that he did for this one, and I'm trying to remember what it was, and for some reason I feel like I've completely forgotten it. I think it might have just been that, but oh, I know, it's okay. We'll do that in a second. Let's go do it again. So another thing is, like, usually if you're setting this up when I was learning it, you would throw it and then run to the side and then wait for the spring. You can actually jump over that final boo. I believe that's what it is. If Juice is still here and wants to correct me, let me know. Whee! So I'm going to do the beginning again, the same way. Again, I'm going to get this bonk. And then from here, I can toss this, and then, oh, I did it a little bit early. It's a little bit tighter, a little bit riskier, but it does save some time. So we'll do that one more time. I can actually jump over that final boo in order to skip having to keep running on that very slow conveyor belt. So we're going to do the beginning pattern. Again, bonk off of this wall, jump here. Oh, I missed it. So now you guys see what it looks like to actually climb this section. Actually, we're just going to reset because that's going to mess with all the cycles. You can get back up from that though, so don't worry about resetting if you get to that point. Okay, try number like 3. Alright, bonk off of here. So here's where I'm lining up middle coins is when I'm going to throw it, and then I'm going to jump over that final boo. That was the newer strategy, where you can throw it and jump over that final boo. Can I get the Marios to show up in time? Marios? Mario! Where? There we go. You can actually jump over that final boo, and the good news is if you throw the spring while you're at the middle coin and you jump, the spring will always be in the right spot for you to just cleanly make this final jump. So that is definitely the way you want to be practicing it if you want to do this trick. But again, you can just run to the right and set this down if you feel more comfortable with that. From here, Your final jump is just going to be off of this right ledge. So you don't have to be too careful about it, but you want to land here and then you'll fall down. Now, if you do miss that and land over here, this is why you don't want to land in this section. What you have to do is you have to line all of these up, and it's just an absolutely annoying mess. So that was actually the fastest I've ever done that, but you need to line them up so that you can take them as an elevator over the top of the level to finish it out. So if you do make a mistake and fall down to that section, it's not the end of the world. It is pretty significant time loss, but all you need to do is stack those springs up. So that's how you complete the level otherwise. So yeah, the trickiest part of this one, the part you'll want to practice, is that boo section in the middle, where you want to throw the spring and then jump over that last boo in order to make it up. But other than that, everything else is pretty clean in this level. Not too much else you need to worry about. So because of that, let's move on to the next one. So we'll hit this to quiet out that game audio, and we will go back into the YouTubes. 5-3. Okay, 5-3 is going to be fun. So I am going to show the IL route for this, and I'm going to show some alternate routes, but the only one I'm going to demonstrate is the one that I use. I'll at least talk through the other ones. So the IL route starts off the same way as the any % route will, where you want to get in this pipe as quickly as possible, and then you want to get out of this room as quickly as possible. Now, ideally, you want to do that. First thing, if you're going through the IL, is you need to make this corner or this little hallway pretty cleanly. So I use a spin jump so that I can time it so I cut this corner. So we're just going to watch this. You know what? We're going to watch this whole thing through once at normal speed, and then we're going to watch it again entirely in slow-mo because there's that much going on for most of it. So the first room is the spring room. Most of optimizing this one is, again, getting through this chute cleanly so you don't bonk off of this corner, and then you can actually do a spring jump here to save time. You do not have to do that spring jump. You can just jump off of the spring normally. It's a-okay. You can save time here by doing a spring jump. Once again, you can also just jump off of it normally. It's a-okay. Here is the old IL strat. I will show actually I don't think I have the footage of the new IL strat, but basically you take the bomb, and this is what's known as a bomb spin jump. This is one of the single hardest sets of inputs in the game. I was practicing to see if I could demo it today, and I honestly can't get it. Polonxy can get it pretty consistently though, so he actually does this as part of his run. I do not. I will at least show his run though in a second, but you want to do a bomb spin jump. I said I'd go through this fast and I keep pausing to talk. So you want to do a bomb spin jump to grab this P-switch and then come back up through the pipe. From here, you want to take out one of these coins, and this will be in common with both routes, because you want to take this shortcut here in order to get through that gap. That will keep the P-switch active long enough for you to jump off of this platform and make it to the top of the level. Now, if you don't have a spring at this point, you do need to do a shell jump. And if you are doing any %, you do not take this pipe ever. The reason we take it here is to reset just gonna pause to explain that. The gold tape at the end of the level is on a bad cycle in the IL, and so we take the pipe because the time loss you get from just hanging out at the bottom of the pipe is less than the time loss from waiting for the gold tape, which is just ridiculous. But then you do a shell jump here, and that finishes out the level with the gold tape at the top. Whew, but that's a couple things. So let's look at how Polonxy does this, and then I'll look at how I do it, because we do it slightly differently. So I think I have it queued up at the right spot here. Yes, okay. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and we're going to watch this in slow motion for some of these rooms, and then we'll go through and watch Polonxy strat, and then we'll watch my strat, and I'll demo it live. So the first thing here is this spring room. And again, you want to cut this corner without slowing down, so I'll do a spin jump to cut here to here. For spring jumps, you want to drop them and jump off of them in midair. If you do not feel comfortable with spring jumps, just drop the spring here and jump off of it normally. Thanks, game. Thanks for slowing down. But otherwise, you'll want to jump. You'll see I'm ducking because you want to be holding down to drop the item downward. On this particular spring, you actually want to jump in a curve so that you have leftward momentum going around this corner. If you just jump straight up, you won't get momentum until the moment you pass the corner, whereas if you jump in this tiny arc, you'll get momentum sooner. Very small optimization. You want to grab the spring, and then all you need to do is get back in this pipe. So the next one, again, you can do a spring jump. It is faster to go for it, but you can also just set the spring down. So spring jump again, you want to drop it in midair and jump off of it. I will attempt to demo that a couple times. And here's where, again, in the IL, you start to do some crazy stuff. In any %, we will actually not go in the pipe right away, we'll get a coin first. So the bomb spin jump is a ridiculous set of inputs where you need to throw the bomb upward, you need to spin jump up to jump off of it, and then make it up to this P-switch. Now, things to watch out for is if you hear like a thunk sound when you're trying to go for this, you've hit the bottom of the P-switch. You have to get the P-switch from the side in order to pick it up. You cannot hit it from the bottom. And it's ridiculously easy to just mess up everything with this. So like, actually, yeah, here we go. Let's show this one more time. So you actually need to throw the bomb up. Let's just do this in uber slow motion. So you need to throw the bomb up. That's holding up and releasing your grab button, which is also your run button. So that's input number 1. Then you need to do a spin jump and re-grab the bomb. So you need to re-push your B button late enough that you don't re-grab the bomb right away, but early enough that you grab it here as you're doing a spin jump up. Then you need to press down instead in order to drop the bomb while you're still spin jumping. And you need to let go of it again, so you take your finger off the run button in order to get this drop to happen. But you'll notice that I'm actually also moving to the right. In the middle of all of that, you want to start your right with momentum, but you cannot be holding right and drop the bomb. So you need to tap right to get your spin jump going in the right direction as you pick the bomb up from the ground, and then drop it again in midair by taking your thumb off of the right button, or the right button, and moving it exclusively to the down button to get the second drop to happen. That's when you just jump off of it midair, but at some point you need to pick up right again, and you need to make sure you don't re-grab the bomb. That's all the inputs in order to get to this P-switch and to make this jump happen. It's so many inputs, and it's really easy to mess up, and it takes a while to get good at. If people are interested, I can do a separate tutorial some other time, or maybe the next time I do this, because I assume we'll have to do this again. We're not going to finish everything today. I can do a separate tutorial on just that, but I will need to warm it up because I'm not practiced for it. But that's that room. Now, for the actual IL, you'll notice I have a former world record, not a full world record on this. I'll start to move this fast again. That is because of this particular section right here. So the way that I did this in my IL was to hit the P-switch and get this gap. The actual one, and unfortunately I couldn't find the clip of it before stream, is to come out with the P-switch, and you throw it to the right. Actually, I might be able to find it. Hold up, because it's in the compilation video. Okay, hold up. We're gonna actually go find this. So really quickly, I'm trying to think of what the fastest way to get to it is. Ignore all my channel analytics, those exist. Here's all my secret videos that you didn't get to see before. Hee hee hee. And I'm looking for the Mario Day video. There we go. This is the one I want. And the reason is, we don't need my background music for it. What I'm looking for is specifically this trick, because I know I put it in here. Oh, so here's the bomb spin jump again, just from Polonxy's point of view. Oh no, that's my IL. Where did the bomb spin jump go? I had it. It should be right after this then. Fun strats. Okay, so here's the bomb spin jump done by Polonxy. Same set of inputs, you go around to the side. Instead, in his case though, he had to hit the bomb off to the left. Let me look for this particular trick though. And I apologize for not having this queued up in advance. But this does look pretty epic, and I do just want to show it so you know what's involved in this IL if you want to actually go for it. Nope, that's I think him just getting the ending the first time. I don't think that's actually including the trick. God, come on. I wonder if it was one of the final things I put in. Oh, here it is. Okay. So here we go. That's my trick. This is the actual route. So let's just do that in slow-mo, because this goes by way too fast to actually see. And I will admit to never having gotten this and not having really tried yet. So first we have to get past a couple of other tricks. You'll get to see those later. Shout outs to other levels. Here's this one. You jump up and you throw the P-switch so it bounces off the wall. You land on it before the final row of coins. And that's how you shortcut that ending. So watching that back one more time. This is the actual IL strat. Unfortunately, there's not a recording of it as part of any of the ILs right now, but that's what you're supposed to try to do for the individual level time. So there we go. It should also be in a guide. I don't know that anyone's written it out yet, but yes, we should write it out into a guide. From there, the ending is the same as what I show, so we can watch my video back from here. Again, keep in mind this trick should have been Polonxy's crazy, wild, like throw the P-switch everywhere strat. If you are feeling nervous about this final shell jump, by the way, you can get this flag for safety. You just have to be fast to still make the P-switch cycle. The flag will give you a mushroom, so you'll get 2 tries on this final jump. There's also, by the way, a safety mushroom here. So if you're also feeling nervous about the P-switch timer, just get this safety mushroom and that will give you multiple tries at this ending. So from here, you'd grab a shell, and then for the IL, you go into this pipe, and that is specifically to reset the gold tape timer. The gold tape timer is on a bad cycle to get the top route if you don't do this. And so even though this loses a little bit of time, it saves time overall. You do a shell jump here, which is just where you throw the shell off the right side of the screen, jump off of it, and you finish the level. Now, let's look at this sort of more in the wild. So the next thing I'm going to show is actually Polonxy's 5-3 as part of his normal runs, which shows you some of his backup strats. So there's so many different ways to play this level. You can do this level completely without Kaizo tricks, you can do it entirely with Kaizo tricks, or something in the middle. I do a middle route for this, but I want to show you Polonxy's first. Polonxy's is technically faster. I'm going to turn Polonxy's sound off though, just so I don't accidentally give his voice if you didn't want it there. Cool, so the beginning of this is going to look the same, where you just sort of cut these corners closely. You want to just get the springs quickly. So same thing, he does a spin jump into the pipe, and then he'll go into this room, and once again, you try to clear that. That was really smooth. He did an excellent job in this run. He does the jump around, gets the spring, we're all good to go. Now what you'll notice is that he ditches the spring here, which is what the IL does as well, gets the jump, and grabs the bomb. Now the first thing to note is when we do the any percent run, we grab this coin early. We grab this coin while we're taking care of this bomb or doing something else. Otherwise this just does not work out super well. So you always want to grab this coin early. So there we go, he grabs the coin and goes into the pipe. That will set it up so that when he hits the P-switch, he'll be ready to go. He attempts the bomb spin jump but misses it. And he goes for it every time because he's actually ridiculously consistent at it. But with his route, if you want to use the bomb instead of the spring, which I'll be using later, if you miss that, you can actually do this backup strat where he'll set the bomb down on that platform and spin jump off of the bomb on that ledge in order to go up and get the P-switch. So I'm afraid that if I try to jump back in time, I'll jump too far. So we'll watch from here again just because I can't quite zoom in as closely on this YouTube video. But watching that back at full speed, you'll see that if you don't have to go for the bomb spin jump, but if you do, or if you just want to go for a normal bomb strat, it is faster to put the bomb on this ledge and spin jump off of it. So here he is putting the bomb on the ledge, spin jumping off of it, grabbing the P-switch. He waits then for that bomb to explode for safety because it really sucks if you get the P-switch and then run into the bomb exploding. So you do want to put a little delay in there if you do this part slowly, but otherwise then it'll be safe. So now he's got the P-switch. He always does P-switch jumps on things, but that gets him through that P-switch section pretty cleanly. From here, he's going to do the strat where you get the safety mushroom, so that is the fast way to get that safety mushroom if you need it. And then he's going to grab the shell and do the shell jump. You'll notice that he shell jumps from a slightly different location than the IL does. He jumps off of the pipe instead of off of here. And that's because in the IL, we're coming out of a pipe and we don't have full speed, so we need to run a bit to build up full speed for that shell jump. In any percent, when you're doing that shell jump, I'll try to show it back one more time. Any percent when you're doing that shell jump, you have full speed, so you can actually jump off of the pipe and get it consistently from there instead. So one more time, Polonxy will go through this P-switch section, jump up and barely grab that mushroom for safety. He doesn't need it because he gets the shell jump first try, but then he will shell jump off of the pipe, coming at full speed, and that will put him over the top of the level. Now here's where you can see what I mean by the gold tape being in a bad spot. Look at how much time we have to wait for that if we're doing particularly no pipe madness. Now this is still faster in real time, it's just for the IL, you don't want to do that. So that's what I call either Polonxy strat or the bomb strat, depending on which one I feel like using that day. What I'm going to show you now is neither of those. A lot of this is going to look the same, but a couple things are going to be different. So we're going to go back onto my screen here, and I will show you what I either call my strat or the spring strat, which is a bit safer. One of the things with the Polonxy route or the bomb route is that you need to be good enough at the shell jump at the end to get it at least within 3 tries. Oh, I hit play. I wanted to hit edit. Let me go into edit real quick. Edit, there we go. With my strategy, the spring strategy, it's a little bit safer. You can have the ending as many times as you need to. You don't actually need to do the shell jump. So that's something to watch out for. So here we go. I'll go through and play it. So the beginning is the same as normal, where I do a small spin jump just to get as close to that pipe as possible. You want to get it in it soon. And here's where you can do a spring jump. So here's what spring jumps look like, or I'll try to actually do it a few times at full speed, where I hit drop in midair and I try to jump off of it. I'm not landing it right now because I'm trying to talk through it. So here we go. This one in particular, if I'm missing it, it's usually because I'm doing everything too late. There we go. That's what that looks like, so you can see the inputs on screen for that one. But again, you don't have to do that. You can just set the spring down and jump around like this. So you do not have to do any Kaizo tricks for this level. Grab the spring, go through. So here's once again a spot where I can try for a spring jump. It looks like that, except I should have been holding jump. But again, if I don't want to do a spring jump, I can just set the spring down. The only thing to watch out for with my strat is you do not want the spring to be too far to the left, because I want it to stay spawned on screen. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to get this bomb, and instead of taking it in the pipe, here's where the route diverges. I use it to blow up these blocks and grab my spring and come back through. Now one thing to note, and I will respawn the bomb here for a second just so I can show it. One thing to note is that the bomb takes a bit to explode. You do not want to jump up too soon. So right for here, I'm trying to like get around these blocks, but we'll pretend the bomb is there. If I were to immediately run and jump, I would jump into that explosion. So I do have to wait a little bit before I can jump up. And as an FYI, you cannot make this jump without some speed. So that's why I usually hang out here and then time running to the right so I can get up this ledge. Here is where I go get the coin. So again, both routes will get this coin before going in the pipe, important to note, but in my route, it's actually completely essential because I activate the P-switch while in this pipe, not outside of it. So I blew up just to run this back one more time. Actually, I'll do it after I beat the level, I'll go back through it again. So I go through this pipe, but I have a spring. You'll notice that no one else had a spring. I take my thumb off of the item button as I go through that pipe so that it drops next to me. So that's the input there, is I'm holding down and I'm taking my thumb off the button as I go through the pipe at full speed. What that looks like is this. And then I jump up on top of it to get the P-switch. So this is full speed just to show you what it looks like. That's why I have to get that coin though before I go in the pipe, because I cannot come out of the pipe with 2 items, and because my route wants the spring, I have to make sure that that's the one I come out with. Going through what I did with the P-switch though, so I drop it, I jump off, and that brings me up so I can get to the right side of this P-switch and grab it. You could do whatever to activate it. My preference is throwing it off the side of the screen and then coming down here and activating it while it's on the ground. So in this case, I would jump off of it and then grab my spring and go back through. Usually at full speed, it lands on top of the spring and I can sort of fall into it. So just to show what that looks like, I go back through, jump on top of my spring, toss it to the right. That's what most of the time my route will look like. Now from here, I'm on a timer just like any other route, where I need to get to the end before this P-switch stops. And for the most part, it's not too tight of a timer to get through. So there we go. And you'll notice I don't get the checkpoint because I'm not using shell jumps. Instead, I have a spring. So what I normally try to do is do a spring jump here. I usually miss it. This is like my worst spring jump out of all of them, where I'll try to do a spring jump there to get up to this top platform. If I get that spring jump, I will be on the right goal tape cycle and I will actually get a really fast goal tape. If I'm not on the right cycle, then I'll put this spring down here and that will get me to the end of the level just like any other route would. Now, in the case, here's where the backups come in. So if you are slow on the P-switch and you are using the bomb route, you have to go through here and do the Koopa section. Like you may just want to reset at that point. I don't actually know what's faster. Basically, if you were to go into this pipe, you could do a mini obstacle course to get Koopa shells. I don't want to demo it because I want to show a different backup. But you would go through this room and get a Koopa shell, and then what you would do is you would throw it into this block over here, and that would create a vine. However, if you're using the spring route and you run out of P-switch timer and you don't make it up to that platform up there, you can instead use your spring here to do the jump. Now at this point, you have 2 options. You can either go for the shell jump. Oh, this is actually a fire flower. That's even better. You can either go for the shell jump, right? So do the thing that Polonxy did and try to do like this jump. I nailed that first try. I actually wasn't sure how I did that. So that's one of the backups if you miss the P-switch timer. Or let's say that you really don't know how to do shell jumps. You haven't done them before. You can take this route. Now this route just kind of sucks. This is like the slow backup. I got this route in the race that I did most recently against Polonxy, Juice, and Arptem. So I've done it before. And what you do for this route is you just blow up everything with a bomb. So it's really slow, but you throw the bombs to the right to blow that up. You then go up this section. I want to be able to get through this section. There we go. And you get bombs here and blow up this left side. Yay. And then you'll actually get another bomb. I don't know if I can make that jump. Yeah, we may have to wait for another bomb. This is why you don't want to miss that. So this is like the least, this is the slowest of all of the different recovery strats you can use. But here we go, I've got my bomb. I want to go through this pipe. And then what you can use is you can use the bomb to blow up these right side blocks and make it to the bottom of the section. So if you do make it to the end of the level and you've lost your spring and you don't know how to do a shell jump, not all hope is lost. You can still make it to the end here. But again, it's definitely not ideal. So the 2 main routes are either going to be, again, that bomb route, where you get a bomb, or you use the bomb to get the P-switch, and then you have to do a shell jump at the end, or the spring route, where you keep a spring with you from the very beginning of the level all the way until the end. This bomb jump, or the bomb strat, is faster. Definitively faster. So what Polonxy does is definitely faster than what I do. What I do is definitely safer. My route involves almost no risk of death. So there's just except for that like first bomb explosion. So if you're getting started and you're not super comfortable with shell jumps or Kaizo tricks, or this level is making you nervous, spring jump is just a very safe backup that also doesn't involve any Kaizo tricks if you don't want it to. So those are your 2 options for this level. There is probably a ton more I could talk about, but like that's the basics. That should be enough to get anyone started with this. Phew. All right, we get to move on now. Feels like forever. And this will be to 5-4. So 5-4. Wait, what? Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. That's Polonxy's channel. I need to go back to the ILs. I apologize. Polonxy's channel is also awesome, but we're essentially looking at Super Mario Maker today. So we're going to move on to 5-4. So 5-4 is our next auto-scroller. Thankfully, it's pretty straightforward, so there's not too much to worry about here. The main thing is just run fast. So this first room, you're running to the right, you jump over that Goomba, and you run into the pipe. Ta-da! That's the entire first room. Nothing too special. For this room, you mostly just want to stay alive. There is a safety mushroom here if any of these spinies are causing you trouble, so you can pick that up. But for me, the main thing that I can do is you can just wait for these platforms and run across them. This one spiny is the only thing you may want to have a strategy to deal with. That's mine, is just to run off of the platforms instead of jumping. So again, from here, you just need to get from one platform to the other. You can do that by jumping between them. My preference is to run off of this one onto this one, and I will slow down this, and it's because... Oh, there we go. Sorry, my mouse froze for a second. I was like, please no, computer. If you jump here at the wrong time, you'll hit this spike. So that's why I wait until these overlap and run down. It's just to avoid that spiny. From here, you're going to have 2 more spinies to deal with. Once you've jumped over both of them, hug the right side of the screen to make it in this pipe. And that's it for the slow section. Fast section is mostly just stay alive. Do whatever you want here. I kind of just mess around. I like to jump backwards on this section because it's fun. Why not? When else do you get to do that? Generally follow the coin trails and you're good to go. The main thing that's going to happen in the speed tech is right about here. So you'll notice that I go and I actually wait. I should just play this through for a second. So I'm mostly moving, but when I get to the section, I run into the wall and I wait. I'm waiting for a specific level cue. And the way that I'm looking for this level cue is I'm looking for when about this tile on the screen hits the left edge of the screen. And the reason why is, we'll play out in a second. So from here on out, though, I'm not going to slow down very much. I'm just going to do a full jump here, full jump here. I will hit this wall and it will slow me down. Full jump here, and this. This is the entire reason why I stop and line that up. And it's because you want to drop into this gap as soon as possible. And the way that we time that is actually way back there by running as soon as that trigger happens. That should line us up so we're dropping here close to the right edge of the screen. So if I go into slow-mo for this last piece, I'll do just mild slow-mo, not full slow-mo. Right, this is lining everything else up so that ideally I'm running into this gap. Oh wow, that jumped. Thanks, game. I'm running into this gap right about when it shows up on screen. If I do this perfectly, Mario's falling right when this edge appears. That's legitimately the entire point of that setup. You do not have to do that if you don't want to. Your goal is just to get into this gap soon. This prevents you from having to wait and bonk here and go a little bit slower. That's it. The other speed tech in this level, though, is you do want to kill all 3 Bowsers with this superstar. You will have enough superstar time to do it, but that's why I jump once here to get these 2 Bowsers and once again to get rid of this last one. If you don't kill the Bowsers, they throw a hissy fit as they fall into the lava. So let me be quiet for a second, just listen to the ending cues. That's the fast one. If you don't kill them, they actually take a lot longer to die, and you will lose time for that. So it doesn't matter if you miss any of them with the star, but ideally you want to do all of those jumps and hit them with the star. So again, most of this level pretty straightforward. The only couple things to watch out for are going to be, and I'm going to keep it in slow-mo to show this piece, figuring out your own timing for when you want to do this jump. Again, mine is about the middle of that tile. And that will line you up with that right side of the screen for getting in that one tile gap over here. So there we go. That was a really clean example, so I'm glad that's the one I'm showing. There we go. Jump through all 3 Bowsers and you're good to go. I don't think there's anything I need to demo in this one, so that is 5-4. Yay!